Amplified unit! Salute! We got a packed, jacked, stacked, amped upload for you today, Monday, August 12th, 2024, just hours away from Monday Night Raw. We're gonna talk Bobby Lashley. You're ever wondering how a company like WWE can lose somebody like Bobby Lashley? How it's even conceivable to take somebody like Bobby Lashley and not think highly or too much of him to the point where he walks. His contract expires. You can look no further than his own words. Bobby Lashley recently in a candid interview saying, and I quote, "I liked Vince McMahon. He understood me. I have zero connection with Hunter Hearst Helmsley." We'll talk all about it. An interview that took a lot of people by surprise, shocked a lot of people, but it probably shouldn't have. We'll talk all about Bobby Lashley and that wild interview. We'll go over the exact quote that Lashley laid down about Hunter Hearst Helmsley and VKM. We're also going to talk a big AEW star that we already talked about last week being WWE bound, or at least that's what we believe. But recently, a current WWE star recently just held a championship, actually. This WWE star sent out a massive teaser, and now it looks like this AEW star already has one foot out the door. Not just WWE bound. It's no longer if, now it's just when this star turns up in WWE. We'll talk that as well. We're also going to discuss Mercedes Moné, man. Eric Bischoff continuing to slam Wabaka after Wabaka to Mercedes Moné. What did Moné do to Bischoff? We're going to talk about Bischoff and his onslaught toward Moné continuing. We'll talk about his exact quote and if it's justified. Is there some truth to it? Okay, but is Mercedes the only one guilty of everything Bischoff is laying down? I think that's the most important question. We'll talk about it. It's all coming up. I got the ratings for you guys for SmackDown. A big return. Roman Reigns. Was he able to save SmackDown on his own? This was a show that was very odd. The start of the show, throwing a weird title match to Bash in Berlin. The whole bulk of the show was nothing but number one contender matchups. And then the finale, that big return of Roman Reigns, a lot of people waiting for him to get on the microphone and start wailing away verbally. But instead, he just absolutely annihilated physically the Bloodline. A lot of people are like, all right, you crushed the tag title holders. Yay. But what? You gotta get on the mic. Is WWE saving that for Paul Heyman? Do they want Paul Heyman to do the talking? If that's the case, that's a big letdown. A lot of people want to hear Roman Reigns spit a 5-6 minute promo up front. It's gonna be needed. John Cena said it best to Roman Reigns. It's called a promo. If you're gonna be the big dog, you're gonna have to learn how to do them. Roman has gotten real good over the last several years. Really good at it. I hope now that he's getting cheered, it doesn't throw him off his game. But they don't want him talking yet. He came out Friday night and he destroyed the tag team champions, Gorillas of Destiny. But was that enough to pop a massive rating for SmackDown? We're going to talk about the preliminary rating and a whole lot more, whatever else I want to talk about. You know, you see the coffee from the fine folks at Starbucks. BC's got a fully whipped double shot Frappuccino. That's right, fully whipped. It's a cheat day. I'm just doing cardio today. So I load in the whipped cream, I told him. And then I said a little bit more. And he looked at me like, is that? I said a little bit, just a little bit. Okay, the whole bottle, I said. Guys, get your bevies. Cause it's time to wake up, and get up, and get amplified. Cheat days rule. Want to start off with a big shout out to all of my channel members. Thank you, channel members. My board of directors, if you will, for chucking a coffee at the channel every single month. Never needed, always appreciated. Those new badges are looking damn good after all the names. It's always a good way, channel membership for BC when I am live especially. And I have a question or I have to look to my veteran unit. and to see those gold cards, and recently putting those gold amplified stars up, knowing that those are veteran subs of over a year plus on membership, and soon 2 years and up getting those gold coffees. So it's a great way for BC to very quickly see some of my veterans taking part in the discussion. And that means a lot to me. But every single channel member, whether you just joined membership today or you're about to go on 2 years in just a couple, 2-3 months, thank you to all of my channel members, man. I cannot say that enough. And even if you're not a channel member, and big thank you to all of my subscribers up front, man. If you've ever taken a moment to smash that subscription wherever it is, that's not it though. Wherever that, don't press that. You'll just end up breaking your phone or whatever. That's not the actual subscription. That's going to be down below. That's just a little icon to go with what I'm talking about. So don't smash that. In fact, let's just take that away. Take that down. You never saw that. Subscribers, thank you. Honestly, I appreciate that. It's something I never really promote. I never ask. I never say, hey, don't forget to subscribe. Yeah, I always felt that was kind of cheesy. No thanks. But I appreciate everyone that's ever taken the time to do such and to go a step further and smash the notification, being the first ones to know when these uploads and especially live streams go out. So notification works hand in hand with the subscription. So I really do appreciate that. And the easiest thing you can do is just smash in the up. That always helps out the algorithm, but it also lets BC know that you are fully amplified for the following upload. So that like button tells me a lot. So I appreciate that. That costs nothing. And that should hopefully be done every single upload. Just right when that thing begins, you just give it a oh yeah, macho man elbow to that like button, right? Deliver a Batista bomb to the subscription. Put a figure 4 leg lock on the notification. And if you want to be a channel member, I don't know, what do we do, a bank statement? Or old school Sister Abigail for Bray, maybe? Maybe for channel membership, we honor Bray Wyatt, maybe. Who knows, man? But bottom line is I appreciate you guys big time, man. So I want to take a couple minutes and say thank you. Last week was a hugely successful week on the channel, and I want to keep that momentum going toward Bash in Berlin and into the fall and winter months, man, for sure. All right, on to this upload. Let's do this. Hold on, another swig, man. It's cheat day. Let BC get his cheat on. All right, so Bobby Lashley recently. Big interview for Bobby Lashley. He's been all over the news, obviously, with his contract expiring, and it's pretty much common knowledge at this point that Bobby Lashley is leaving WWE. He's just not happy there. It's not clicking. MVP has been speaking out a lot about not just him, but he's been teasing a lot like Bobby Lashley is feeling the same way. MVP is just not happy at all. He has slammed Paul Levesque McMahon, Hunter Hearst Helmsley several times. He has admitted that he has went to Hunter, this is MVP, and gave many scenarios to reinstate the Hurt business, right? Bring back the Hurt business, this time under Hunter Hearst Helmsley. And for some reason, Hunter was just like, no, don't want to do it, don't see it. No thanks. And instead, Hunter then threw Bobby with Street Profits, and it was clear that there was no direction, right? The Profits just oddly turned face to heel, and then when Hunter gave them nothing, and that fell flat on its face, then just as quickly, snap of a finger, blink of an eye, drop of a hat, the Street Profits turned face again. There was no real trajectory toward it. It was just like overnight, maybe nobody will notice, and if they do, hopefully they don't ask questions. So the Profits are just going heel, and then Bobby Lashley just looked like an absolute joke the entire time. And MVP was just speaking vocally about this over the last several months, and then it came out that Bobby's contract is expiring, and then Bobby didn't make any bones about it. He didn't slam WWE or anything, but he was pretty much eluding the whole time that he was leaving the company. And then you see Shelton Benjamin, he got released by the company several months ago. Cedric, you see his booking. Maybe he's on WWE Speed every once in a while. But it's pretty clear that her business was never being resurrected. In fact, none of them were actually getting anything. They're being released. They're being told to sit home. So Bobby, just like MVP, their contracts are expiring if they didn't already. And now Bobby is speaking out about his relationship with Hunter Hearst Helmsley, this regime. Bobby says the following. This is an actual quote. Bobby says, "I had a connection with Vince. Vince understood me. Vince was big on the show when he looked at people like they were stars. He saw that in me. There was a lot of advice that Vince would give me throughout my career, and he would tell me different things. Vince looked at me like, I can tell Bobby works his ass off. I can send him anywhere around the country to represent the brand. He looked at me like a star. I like Vince. I haven't really had too much of a connection with Hunter. Hunter has his guys. I've tried. We just haven't worked enough together." End quote. That was massive. That statement brought a lot, or that piece of this interview caught a lot of people by surprise in the community. A lot of people, even when they're released by the company, right? And you know Hunter has something to do with it. He was at least in the meetings, right? The conversation, right? The dude in charge of all creative knows that a dude is about to be released from the company. I'm pretty sure Hunter is involved in the conversations. And a lot of individuals, they'll get released and they got to be careful, right? They don't want to bash the boss. So they don't want to believe it, right? Earmuffs, It wasn't Hunter. He had nothing to do. He woke up and found out I was released. It was Nick Khan that did it. It was Christopher Pritchard. It was Vince McMahon. Came back, right, for 10 minutes just to release a bunch of people, and then Vince took off in the Batmobile. But it was anybody but Hunter, right? Even fans. A lot of fans put Hunter Hearst Helmsley up on a pedestal, right? If it was good, you give praise to Hunter. If it was bad, you do not blame Hunter. It was the creative writers. It was the writers underneath Hunter. They disobeyed him. They said they were going to put something creative on television. They put something awful. You blame them, not Hunter. So it's odd that, or at least it's not a... It's a rarity, let's put it that way. It's a rarity to see a talent, especially the caliber of Bobby Lashley, to come out and just be straight up honest. I have zero connection with Hunter. We just haven't worked enough to get, and that's saying something. They've been in those same hallways. They have been in those locker rooms many years together, whether they're wearing wrestling tights or they're in suits. It's been years that they've been working together and around one another. And that speaks volumes that Hunter never reached out and tried to understand Bobby more, because that would be his position. He's the boss, right? It's his position to really get to know your talent. And Lashley says straight up, we've never had a connection. I don't have a connection with Hunter. And he said that the biggest part in this was when he said Hunter has his guys. Right? Confirming what we already knew. Vince McMahon had his guys. Those were the dudes and gals that were going to go to the top no matter what. And I told you guys, that part of it is not going to change, right? The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Hunter Hearst Helmsley is a McMahon now. He just is. He's at that dinner table with Vincent Kennedy. He's been learning for years and years under Vincent Kennedy. For all intents and purposes, he's a McMahon. That's why we have a lot of fun on the channel. We call him Paul Levesque McMahon. Because he is. He's married to Stephanie, who obviously goes in lockstep with Vincent Kennedy. He learned from Vincent Kennedy. Hunter said just a few months ago, of course he still talks shop with Vince. It's his father-in-law. You're at the dinner table. Of course questions are going to be asked. Advice is going to be asked for. Hunter admitted that. So you know that Hunter is going to book the same way. He's going to have his favorites. He's going to have the people that are going to be pushed. And he doesn't care. If the crowd is chanting for somebody else, they're going to have to wait a very long time. LA Knight. Guys, coming out of the Bray Wyatt feud. This was last year's Rumble, not this year's. A whole year and a half ago. LA Knight and his name being shouted out at every arena. WrestleMania weekend, he was one of the loudest chants. Just last week, he got his championship in WWE finally. It was a mid-card championship. Finally got it. The same title he should have got about 9 months ago, several times, but they decided to give it to Rey Mysterio or Santos Escobar, that whole feud. They put a briefcase on Damian Priest. They skipped over LA Knight month after month after month. They finally throw a title on him. He was just never in the plans. He was never one of the ones that HHH had plans for. Not one of his favorites. And if that's the case, sorry fans, not sorry. You're going to have to wait. And Bobby Lashley's like, he has his guys. I tried. Bobby Lashley said, guys, it's a quote. I haven't really had much of a connection with Hunter. Hunter has his guys. I've tried. We just haven't worked enough together. He says, I've tried. This backs up MVP's statement when he said, I went to Hunter many times with ideas, right? A lot of those ideas was ways we can resurrect the Hurt Business, because we all agree Vince took that away too soon. It was awesome that he created that, and they were actually really well received by most of the community. So that was a big botch by Vince when he took it away too soon. But there was no reason Hunter can't resurrect, especially if you're just going to put Bobby with the Street Profits. Then what are you doing, man? Just resurrect the Hurt Business and let's see if we can do it correctly this time. If it fails, absolutely. Dismember it, whatever. Put Bobby with the Street Profits. But he just told MVP no time after time, and told Bobby Lashley, not yet, go to catering, sit at home, relax. You're banged up, you got the injury, we just can't put you in anything right now. Once in a while, we'll bring you over when the Profits have a match, you can be like their cheerleader. That's all he did. And so for Bobby to say, I've tried, it backs up what MVP said, but just Hunter just always was denying their requests or denying their ideas. Just didn't want to give them anything relevant. So for Bobby Lashley, I mean, some fans might not think he's that great, especially like on the mic, but if you put him with somebody like MVP, it's a dynamic duo. It's Lana Rusev, right? It's Paul Heyman, Brock Lesnar. They just go together. It's like a perfect fit, man. MVP, Bobby Lashley. And if you want to put some dudes around him and put a business into effect, even better. So Bobby Lashley has a lot to offer. Even I think he's like 48 years old, isn't he? He's up there, and maybe that's what turns Hunter off as well. You know, that's a Vince thing that Hunter has tapped into a lot. You know, if you're a certain age, I got to be careful about pushing you. Not everybody, but that could have some. That was a big deal with LA Knight. They didn't want to, because he's into his 40s, and that was a big thing. But man, I don't know. If I'm running an organization, right? If I have a wrestling company and I have somebody like Bobby Lashley, I'm probably not going to be quick to lose that guy. I'm going to be real quick to try to keep him and think of some awesome creative for this dude. But Hunter just never cared about Bobby Lashley, and that's sad. Vince botched his booking all the time, but it was clear that Vince always was trying to do something with Bobby at least, right? And Bobby even admits that. He says, Vince looked at me like a star. Vince had me going around the world. Vince had me doing all of this stuff to represent the brand. And he's basically saying, Hunter, I got nothing. We have zero connection. He's got his guys. I've tried. We just haven't even worked together enough. Anyway, man, Bobby Lashley, for those that don't know, what does all this lead to? It leads to Bobby Lashley out of WWE. His contract might already be expired, by the way. He has confirmed a boxing match coming up. We don't have any more details as of this recording, but he has a big boxing match coming up. He wants to do this massive marathon. He's going to have more details later. He wants to get into jiu-jitsu competition, I believe is what he said. So he has all of this stuff lined up. So if he's going AEW, he's either going to do it with everything else, or he's going to wait until he gets all of this out of his system. And by that point, maybe he's 50 debuting with AEW. But I do expect him to show up in AEW, probably with MVP and Shelton Benjamin. You'll have some form of Hurt Business. I know a lot of you guys think he'd be better suited in the Hurt Business, if they are going to be resurrected, would be better suited in TNA. If that's the case, you could see him right back in WWE because they have a relationship with NXT. So then you got the Hurt Business showing up in NXT just as Lashley's WWE contract expired. I hope that makes sense. These days, if you go to TNA, you could show up on WWE television like Dana Brooke, Ash by Elegance, I think is her name now. But so that would be interesting. But I do think that's going to be somebody that Tony Khan is most likely going to scoop up. And I think Bobby would rather do that do some business with AEW, be a power guy. But that's the deal, man. He's got all of this stuff lined up. Some of it's already been confirmed. So if that's the case, you got to think, is it already expired? And if it's not, I would give it maybe another week or two. But this is pretty much severed with Bobby Lashley and WWE. And that's sad, because again, I just don't see how you can lose somebody like Bobby Lashley. But when the dude is saying, I have zero connection with the guy running the place, we have no connection, we don't work well together, he's got his guys and I'm not one of them, is what he's saying. I've tried, I'm just not one of them. Well, guess what? That's probably not going to work. We wish Bobby Lashley all the best. My cheat day continues. Let me get my fully whipped double shot Frappuccino. All right, let's talk Ricky Starks, man. I call this the Cody Club, by the way. You guys remember last week we put up an upload where we discussed Ricky Starks WWE bound, because that's basically where he's headed. Tony Khan's pretty much admitted that, right? He's got nothing for Ricky. He thinks Ricky Starks and the character and his trajectory should be going one way. Ricky Starks says, no, I disagree. I feel it should be going this way. So Tony's like, no, we just won't use you. So much difference in just thought process. And I think Ricky Starks' mind was already made up anyway. His good pal is Cody Rhodes. We know that. And we know that Cody Rhodes is slowly but surely taking all of his good pals and bringing them to WWE. Jade Cargill, Shawn Spears, Ethan Page, and Ricky Starks is one of his really good pals. To the point where Ricky Starks, under AEW contract, was showing up to WWE events backstage to support Cody. Unfortunately, security footage at one event, I think it was a big one too, maybe it was Mania or Royal Rumble, but Ricky Starks was actually captured on the security footage, and that sent a whole whirlwind of backlash to Ricky Starks and AEW, so I don't think we saw Ricky Starks after that backstage with WWE. But Ricky Starks, under contract with WWE, was showing up backstage to support Cody Rhodes. That's how close they are. And you have all this, all these reports going that Ricky Starks is just not happy there, and he's on his way out. Well, now a current WWE talent and one of the Cody Club, if you will, Jade Cargill. She just posted something that is very vivid, right? It's a teaser that pretty much tells us Ricky Starks has one foot already out of the AEW door. Jade Cargill posted up a photo of her and Ricky Starks at dinner, clashing their glasses, and the caption just says, cheers. Ricky Starks with that smile, that shit-eating grin. Cheers to what, you may ask, right? Cheers is usually celebratory, right? To new beginnings, to something big that's happening, or it could just be to friendship. But that shows you how close they are, Jade and Ricky Starks. And there's one common denominator, Ethan Page, all of them. The common denominator is Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes brings them all together, right? You could have 1,000 friends, and most of them you just don't see often, right? Especially as you grow older. But if you ever notice, you have that one friend that pretty much brings everybody together, right? And everyone just has a damn good time. Thanks to that one person making it happen. Everybody have a damn good time. We're all getting together. We're all partying. Cody Rhodes is that common denominator. Jade Cargill having dinner with Ricky Starks, knowing the reports that are going around, obviously, and all the word and all the rumors and all the dirt sheets, all talking about Ricky Starks headed to WWE, and you're going to post a photo of Ricky Starks and cheers. I mean, come on, you know what you're doing at that point. And you know you're talking shop just a little bit. Ricky Starks knows. Ricky Starks knows the game that he's playing, and the game is about to change, all right. It's going to be Hunter Hearst Helmsley doing business with Ricky Starks. I think the mind's already made up. He definitely wants to be there. He's got Cody Rhodes pulling for him. And again, we've seen Cody Rhodes, when he wants somebody there, he gets it done. Doesn't matter if it's a Jade, an Ethan, a Shawn Spears. He's going to get you in there. So Ricky Starks, guys, I just wanted to spend a couple minutes on that because we did have a segment in a recent upload dedicated to Ricky Starks heading to WWE. So I wanted a little bit of a follow-up. That is a huge little teaser by Jade Cargill, one of the Cody Club. So the Cody Club looks to be getting much bigger in WWE, especially if they get Ricky Starks. If you guys are wondering my thoughts on Ricky Starks, well, if you've been a supporter of this channel for any length of time, then you know that I speak very highly of Ricky Starks. I see so much potential in that dude. It's a shame that it's just not working right now in AEW. And it's already kind of got him kind of with a foot out the door. But hopefully when he does show up to WWE, hopefully Hunter Hearst Helmsley sees the value in him and just gives him, not the whole rocket, but give him a piece of it. Right from the jump. Don't have him be one of those dudes that loses like 20 matches in a row just to humble him down. Get the audience used to him a little bit, right? He loses a lot, but he's got heart. Now, this isn't a Dragunov situation. This isn't a Mello situation. This isn't a Cameron Grimes situation. Because then at that point, then Ricky Starks is released after 2 months. No, just let this dude go out and rock out, man. Present him as a winner. Have him kick ass. Let's see how far he can truly go with even semi-decent booking. Because I'm telling you, he'll put it on his back. He'll go through the stratosphere. Be interesting to see. Salute to Ricky Starks. But damn, that was a big Jade Cargill posting up Ricky Starks. Cheers to new beginnings. What do you guys want to go? Well, before I go to Mercedes Moné, Eric Bischoff keeps slamming poor Mercedes, man. What did Mercedes do to Bischoff? But first, I do want to talk the SmackDown rating. This was a huge SmackDown in terms of rating, right? Everybody was waiting for this number. Because not only was it the post-SummerSlam SmackDown, but this was the return of Roman Reigns. And we all pretty much, no matter what happened on the show, we pretty much expected a big number. The show itself was not good. The start of the show was just trying to set up this weird face versus face title match for Bash in Berlin between Cody and KO. And Cody was like just like begging KO to take this match. And KO was being legit. He's like, no. He's like, this was a quote. He's like, Cody, if you look at my win-loss record the last year, you'll see I have no business in a title match. And he's right? I mean, he's got a 68%, a 68% winning percentage. And I believe he was 4 wins out of his last 13 matchups. And all 4 of those were tag team victories. Those 4 out of 13. And his last singles victory was February 16th when he beat Dominic Mysterio on a SmackDown. February 16th, guys. That's about a half a year ago. Was his last singles victory. So he's right. There's no way that KO should be in a title match. But like the segment was like Cody like insisting on it and basically begging Kevin Owens to take this. He even went to Nick Aldis. He's like, will you please tell him to take this? This is where Aldis should be like, well, he's not really next in line, Cody. He's only won 4 matches in his last 13. They were all tag matches. He has not won a singles victory in half a year. I probably can't do that. No, instead, Aldis was like, you will be facing Cody. Anyway, guys, it took 20-something minutes to get us to the weird face versus face title match at Bash in Berlin. The rest of SmackDown was number 1 contender matchups, right? We don't even want to invest in storylines for the ladies or the tag team division or the mid-card. So the stories is just everybody's going to brawl every week or you're going to have random redundant rematches every week, right? You're going to see LA Knight versus Santos every other week, right? We've already seen him 6 times in the last several months. You're going to see it again next week because Santos fruit rolled up Andrade. So now you're getting Knight and Santos again. You're getting a bunch of you're getting a mini tournament to decide number 1 contenders because that's all we do with tag teams, especially tag teams. You do it with the mid-card as well. But tag teams, you either have a battle royal and the last tag team remaining gets a title shot, or you have tag team turmoil, the match, or you have a mini tournament. But they don't want to give you any really good storylines in the tag team division. They just want to throw a bunch of weird matches. We'll pick number 1 contenders. Don't have to put a lot of thought into it. And that was SmackDown, guy. That was it. I'm not even kidding. There was 2 of these little weird qualifying number 1 contender matchups. There was the U.S. title number 1 contender match. There was a weird 2.5-minute match where Jay defeated Alba Fire. And that was it for the ladies. There was no other match. Nia Jax was booted from the show. She was supposed to be on it. There was time issues. They booted her. And they just had a weird heel promo in the back. Tiffany Stratton and Chelsea Green, both heels, by the way. So they're just like out healing the other, I guess. And so one of them is not going to benefit from this because the other is going to out heal them. So and that was it for the ladies. I'm not even joking, guys. After Jade defeated Alba, Blair Davenport got into the ring with Isla to help Alba, and then Naomi came down. I hope that makes sense. So then you had Naomi, Bianca, and Jade against Blair, Alba, and Isla. It was just like another brawl, and I'm like, whoa. It was one of those moments where you're like, wow, Hunter really does not have anything for the ladies. It's absolutely sad. And that was it. That was SmackDown. That was the whole show. And then at the end, Roman came back, did not get on the mic. A lot of people thought he was going to get on the mic and, start telling a little bit of his story, his feelings on Solo, maybe Paul Heyman, maybe just a little bit, right? Nothing. Never got on the mic at all. He just started destroying the tag team champions, guys. Bloodline, the Gorillas of Destiny. It absolutely annihilated them. Now, they're supposed to be beasts, right? I mean, they just won the tag titles. You want to look at them and go, who's going to beat them to? That's a legit tag team now. You can build a whole division around Gorillas of Destiny. You want to say that, right? Well, that's one. Roman just annihilated them. Just absolutely just crumbled them into pieces. And that's how the show ended. And Solo's like up at the top of the ramp. He like ran away. He's at the top of the ramp about to like run away. He's like 1 foot out the door already through the curtain in Gorilla. And the other foot's like just talking trash. He's like, I still got this, the tribal lay. And Roman's just looking all angry. And that's how it ended. So it was good to see Roman back. But how many Superman punches are we going to see? Guys, we're already see he just came back. And I don't need to see a Superman punch for another 5 years. I mean, he must have thrown 10 Superman punches in this 10-minute segment. And the show ends. Now, the rating, all of this was, I've already put up a review. You guys can catch that 41-minute review. I dissect every single segment from Friday. Check it out. Hundreds of you guys already smashed that up. It's already into the thousands on views. I appreciate that very much. But the number that it pulled, right? We knew it was going to be big. No matter what, people are going to wait. HHH knew that he's going to have to wait for Roman's return to the end of the show because he wants that rating. The preliminary, that means it is going to change a little bit, but the preliminary number we are getting is a 2.4. Now, that might not seem too big because you guys are used to SmackDown pulling 2.2, 2.3 on average, but they were at 2.1 going into SummerSlam. So to get 300,000 viewers, that's actually it's decently big. How about that? It's not over the top. Their average was 2.2, 2.3 for a while. But to go back to 2.1s and 2.2s, and most recently 2.1, that 2.4, if it stands, if it holds up, that 2.4 is pretty damn welcoming. They'll take that. They'll run like they just robbed the bank. Don't even look back. Pass go. Don't worry about the $200. Just keep going. 2.4, guys. Roman Reigns did bring in that number. Now, that's the whole thing now. Was the show good enough for people to come back next week? Was enough done Friday night for people to go, I have to see what happens next week? Maybe Roman. Maybe they still need to hear Roman on the microphone, so that'll bring people back. Maybe. 2.4. Show, not good. Roman Reigns' return. There was a lot of ass whooping. Oddly, you had a lot of physicality. Again, the Gorillas of Destiny got their asses whooped. Ironically, most of the wrestling world didn't need or want that, though. If you gauge the wrestling world, they wanted more words. They just wanted Roman on the mic, start talking, start explaining. But maybe WWE wants to wait till Paul Heyman returns. And so all their ducks are in a row, and that promo is flawless with no hiccups. Because Roman, Roman got really good as a heel on the mic. Is being this top face now with all the crowd behind you, is that going to throw Roman off his game? He's probably working like he's probably working on his promo for the last several months, right? They sent him this 4-page thing. He's probably every night he's working on this thing, right? for when he finally has to speak on that mic. We'll see where they go, man. 2.4, that's preliminary. We'll find the actual rating itself after all the deductions or any bonus rating that they got. Sometimes it goes up a little with the adjustment, but we'll find out that within the next, I would say about 12 hours. All right, let's talk Bischoff and Mercedes. I don't know what. Maybe Bischoff just wants some of that Mercedes Moné, if you know what I mean. We'll talk all about it because he had a lot to say. Oh boy, give you a quote on this. So not too much backstory is needed here. This is your classic Eric Bischoff, fully into his shtick, ripping apart AEW. That seems to be his thing these days. And that's his prerogative, to each their own. But ripping apart Mercedes Moné, this is his latest words on Mercedes and how Tony Khan is utilizing her and Tony Khan's issues and how he's absolutely screwing it all up and how Mercedes should have never gotten the deal that she got. This is what Bischoff says. And then we'll go over some of these statements. He says, this is what Bischoff says, WWE knew how to utilize Sasha Banks' strengths, but more importantly, WWE understood her limitations and produced her around those limitations. What does Tony Khan do? He gives her the ball and gives her creative control for some reason. Mercedes Moné, previously Sasha Banks, feels like she's great. She's a great promo. One of the reasons I never heard her do promos in WWE is that WWE knew better. She cannot carry a promo. She should never be allowed to open her mouth. Every time she opens her mouth, her stock goes down. And it's to the point now where I don't know if she's worth anything. You think Camille's getting a rub because she came out there? By the way, did you watch the match? Of course, Mercedes. It's all about Camille. This is her big moment. So reportedly, she has creative control, says Bischoff. And if that is true, she apparently thinks she can handle a lot of dialogue. She's wrong. And Tony Khan doesn't have the balls or the ability or both to say, hey, Mercedes, let's back this up a little bit. Because I'm a data analyst. That's my thing. People, Dave Meltzer and everybody talks about how great I am at data analytics and providing that to the NFL, blah, blah, blah. Which all may be true. But clearly he doesn't have the ability to research his own data and look at his own analytics. Because if he did, he'd be going, this isn't working. She's horrible. She was introduced poorly. The setup was horrible. Maybe not horrible. It was just not effective. But when she started talking, her stock went down. Reportedly, $5 million annually with a limited number of dates and a 7-figure contract reportedly for Jen Pepperman, who's a friend of mine. I think the world of, and I don't know if this is a fact, I have not had any conversations with Jen. I would not compromise her position or relationship with anybody by communicating with her while she's still working with AEW. I have too much respect for her. Regardless of how talented Jen Pepperman is, she is a writer, a director, and probably in this case a producer as well. She can't go out and cut the promo for Mercedes. She can't grab the mic and do it, no matter how good a writer or director is. If the performer, actor, actress, or wrestler doesn't have any talent, it doesn't matter who's writing or directing. The fact that Tony gave creative control to someone who has never demonstrated the ability to be good at creative, because she certainly didn't have creative control in WWE, and to spend $5 million a year plus on a talent and give that talent creative control, and then once you do, you realize she's going to drive her own character, and by the way, your company, into the ditch and not do anything about it. So much to unpack on this, and there's just not enough time to do such. And I know I really don't even want to spend too much time on this, because at this point, we're just running in circles with the same conversation. And at this point, I'm fully convinced that fans either really like Sasha Banks, Mercedes Moné, and her work, or the flip of the coin, fans just really don't like Mercedes Moné or her work. It's one or the other at this point, right? She's that polarizing. And it's clear that Bischoff is on the, especially because she's associated with AEW, it's clear Bischoff is absolutely just in the stance of just trashing her. That's his prerogative. My issue is constantly bringing up the mic, right? The mic work. Constantly saying that once she starts talking, that's where it all shuts off. She's so bad on the microphone, and because of that, she's horrible, or this, that, and the other thing. Can't we say, if we're being truthful, that most of the women in pro wrestling, unfortunately, cannot rock a microphone? And for that matter, most of the dudes in pro wrestling today cannot rock the microphone. It's unfortunate. Right, they have everything else. They have the presence. They got the bells and whistles. They got all the attributes. When the bell rings, the skill is top notch. They got the look, the feel. But when they got on that microphone, it's like John Cena telling Roman Reigns many years ago, it's called a promo, kid. If you're going to be the big dog, you got to learn how to do them. That goes for anybody. You can say that about the dudes or the gals. Most wrestlers today, the one thing they lack vividly to an amplified measurement is mic skills. But Mercedes, for some reason, gets ripped apart more than anyone else. Now, I guess that's because, for those that don't like Mercedes that much, or at all, I guess they say because of the ego that she presents, and then you can't back it up on the microphone, which is a big part of pro wrestling, which I fully agree on, by the way. Maybe they're saying because of the ego that she presents and she can't back it up on the mic, then it's fair game for the criticism. I guess. And I can see some of that. That's fine. But to act like when somebody like Bischoff is constantly saying she just doesn't have talent, and then every now and again bring up the microphone, well, then you always have to bring up that. If you're going to rip her apart, say specifically, because you can't just say she doesn't have the talent to back up the contract she got. She absolutely does. We say this all the time on this channel, whether you like Mercedes or not, love Sasha Banks or you could not stand her. That's fine. That's your prerogative. There's probably many individuals, part of the amplified unit somehow, even though this was a Sasha Bray Wyatt channel. That's what it was founded upon, those two individuals. But there's probably a lot of subscribers and probably channel members that just are not high on Mercedes, and that's fine. Much love and respect. But I'm sure we all can agree she's the common denominator in most female matchups in pro wrestling. Anybody that's encountered a matchup with Sasha or Mercedes, that's probably one of, if not their best match ever. We've ran through the list, guys. Charlie Flair many times, Bayley many times, and Io, Zelina. It doesn't matter if it's, what's Corey Graves is there? Carmella. Becky Lynch several times over. It could be a regular match or it could be a Hell in a Cell with a Becky Lynch. But time after time, every time Mercedes, Sasha Banks is having a match, it's one of those situations. It's like a Daniel Bryan. And I'm saying Daniel Bryan, not Bryan Danielson. This was right before the concussions, right on his run basically up to the championship. What was that, WrestleMania 30, New Orleans? That whole run, especially that year, maybe even a little bit before, like every time Daniel Bryan, the bell rang, you were just like captivated, right? You had to watch the match, whether it was 30 minutes, 20 minutes, 10 minutes, 5 minutes. You were just captivated. There was something about Daniel Bryan, and it was just like, this dude, you just have to stop what you're doing. Put the remote down, put your bevy down, and you're just captivated. For a lot of fans, I'm not saying all of us, but for a lot, BC included, Sasha Banks, Mercedes did that, continues to do that. But she was just, when the bell rang, man, her wrestling, something about it. And when it was all said and done, even the female she was in there with said that was my best match. That's a common denominator, guys. So to say she's got no talent is BS. And I'm the dude that tells you, I don't care at all about 5-star bangers, right? You could have Hulk Hogan go out there, drop 3 fists, a big boot, and a leg drop, and it's going to be hard to top him as a superstar, larger than life. And he just had like 5 moves of doom, Hulk Hogan. Warrior had about 2 or 3 moves of doom. Shoulder tackle, the press slam, maybe that was it. But it's going to be hard to top them, right? Larger than life, superstar stats, to get the ovation that Warrior and Hogan once got. Stone Cold, at the peak of Stone Cold, he was stomping a mud hole and dropping a stunner. And you get a Lou Thez press. He's not out there doing moonsaults, suicide dives, 630 plancha, Canadian destroyers into flaming tables. That was not Stone Cold. Rock was going to give you a rock bottom. So I'm telling you, man, it's not all about, I get it. You have to, I always preach on this channel, you have to check off every box, the character, the presentation, larger than life. Can you rock a microphone, right? It's a big reason I can't connect with Ricochet. Because once he starts talking, I'm just not believing in it. He's just not good on the mic, and that's the problem with so many. So this is coming from somebody who says you have to check off every box. And I'll be the first to say she's not the greatest on the microphone. I get it. But she captivates in every other area for a shit ton of fans. And she's always everybody's best match, or at least one of. That's wild. You can't say that about anybody else, guys. There's no female on the planet. Let's just keep it with the women's division. Nobody. Julia, who most of us respect. You can't say that about Julia, that she's everybody's best match. You can't say that about, who else do we respect highly on this channel? Like Dr. Britt Baker. Love Britt Baker. You can't say that, though. Io, I feel, is one of the best wrestlers on the planet. Io. Can't say that, though, that she's everybody's best match. Bayley. Charlie Flair. Several, Bayley and Charlie, several individuals' best match, but not every. Mercedes, Sasha, you can literally say most every match she has, you got to put it in the top 3 for that individual, if not the top spot. And she's actually lapped the field where she's given people like Bayley, Becky, Charlie, and so many others multiple best matchups. Like all 3 or 4 would be all Sasha Banks, Mercedes. When that happens, guys, you have a Shawn Michaels effect going on, right? Where when Shawn Michaels would wrestle, he would be most everybody's best match, right? Hunter Hearst Helmsley will tell you one of, if not his best, it was Shawn Michaels. Undertaker will tell you, Shawn Michaels. That was the best match in pro wrestling history, WrestleMania 25, Shawn Michaels, Undertaker. Bret Hart. Bret Hart has said, as much as they were feuding, Bret Hart has said some of his best work with Shawn Michaels. Kurt Angle will tell you that. Ric Flair will tell you that. This was when Ric Flair was older, man. I think that was 24th WrestleMania, right? When Ric Flair, the classic super kick. I love you, I'm sorry, super kick ends Ric Flair's career, only for like a few months. Ric Flair kept wrestling, obviously. But that was supposed to be Ric Flair's swan song. That was it, you know? And Ric Flair turned around after all of those decades of wrestling and said, damn, that was one of the best performances I've ever had with Shawn. I could keep going on, right? You don't see it often in wrestling where one person will be the common denominator for everybody's best match. Mercedes is. So Mercedes cashed in. What's the big deal? I totally believe me when I say this. I was the biggest advocate not to debut Mercedes until you have a full throttle plan. This has got to be one of the best stories. It doesn't have to be as great as Scott Hall and Kevin Nash arriving to WCW as the outsiders, and we were all on for a wild multi-year ride, a journey at that point. No, but it's got to be massive, right? This is Sasha Banks showing up to AEW. It cannot be one of those things where she just shows up, it's announced, there she is, and you got nothing, right? You let her talk on the microphone a few weeks, you'll throw her in a match in about a month. That's the worst case scenario, and that's what happened. So I fully agree with that. This was not the best way or even a good way to bring out Mercedes. But it is tapping into her wrestling and how good she is, right? Winning championships left and right from the jump. But I totally agree. It should have been better, the debut. And I fully agree. Less talk and more story development, whatever that is. And I fully agree. She's not the best on the mic. I get it. But the trashing, like, she is the worst in all of these scenarios. Like, if anybody, if a female is going to get $5 million, how dare it's Mercedes. You do realize Becky Lynch and Charlie Flair are getting well over $3 million in WWE. Now, no, not every fan is going to go, Charlie and Becky are way better than Mercedes. No, BC's not going to do that. Absolutely. Just because WWE put the machine behind Charlie, and just because Becky got a broken nose by Nia and you had that iconic image and now Becky's the top of the division, no. To many of us, it was always Mercedes, Sasha Banks. They're already getting $3 to $4 million. So Mercedes positioned herself to get $5. Good for her is what I say. Bischoff bitches because what? You're not getting $5 million? If you had half the talent of Mercedes, maybe you'd get at least half of that. But to act like Mercedes is the worst part about AEW and she's bringing the company down, and because she has creative control, the women's division is doomed. Trust me when I say that. The ego and all that you see, Mercedes behind the scenes, and the Baileys and her good friends will back this up. Mercedes is the exact opposite. She will absolutely put business first. And if you don't believe that, you don't know enough of the behind the scenes stories in WWE. Because trust me when I say, when she did have those talks with Vince, and a lot of this was, I didn't even know up front, and I was pissed at the booking. But later on, I found out Mercedes said no. Go that route. Give it to them. Mercedes absolutely did the deed and the job to so many. At times where BC was absolutely flipping out. How do you have Sasha Banks lose that? But she was in on it because she wanted that torch passed or that moment for such and such. Trust me, she'll put the business first, man. But man, the constant ripping apart of Mercedes, it's absolutely old at this point. And maybe that's what Mercedes says, right? Recently, Mercedes said, I'm sick of these creepy old dudes, all with my name in their mouth. I'm thinking it's not just the Coachmans, it's probably the Bischoffs and many others. Anyway, guys, that's what I got for you. BC in the Amplified Unit. This has been a packed, jacked, stacked, amped upload, as I told you it was going to be. Monday Night Raw is a few hours away. At some point within the next 24 hours, I will be, hopefully, I'd like to be live for the Raw review. That's not confirmed. If I can do it, if I can carve out some time at an appropriate time, I can speak. If I can carve out time at an appropriate time, maybe we can do the Raw review live. If not, either way, you guys will have a full throttle amplified Raw review. All 3 hours, top to bottom, every segment. And we will dissect it like nobody in this community can. Amplified. Until next time, and there will be that next time. BC continuing his cheat day. BC in the unit saying check you. Boom!